Jack Mottershead, candidate number 6644.
Okay. The strengths that he has, for starting, he shows respect to the people grading him through his bows. That's just a sign to show respect for what he's about to do. When he's doing the moves, his head rarely moves out of position, so that means his balance is everything. Okay.
Can you show me the music?
Yeah. His punches are at the correct height for where they should be. By doing this, it shows the different set rehearsals for it. He opens his hips, so by doing that it gets more power for his punches and kickings. And so when he finishes in the same position to where he starts. The reason for that is because it's a set rehearsal routine, it's almost symmetrical. So it shows that he's got the correct stance, correct positions, correct spacings for every move. So that's an advantage. His disadvantages though, in his kicks, he's not got much flexibility in them. For example, when he doesn't open his legs properly, opening his hips, etc. His legs should be shoulder width apart in certain positions and they're sometimes a bit wider than they should be. This is kind of for support almost, so that you're able to give more power in your punches, etc. Also, when he's doing his stance, sometimes there's something called kenkadachi, which is like horseback stance. For this thing, you should have it as equal balance, and sometimes, as said here, he's got more balance on his left leg, so you can say that's his dominant leg. When he does his back stands, his position should be 70% on your back leg with the weight and 30% on the front. That's usually not the case here, because although you're supposed to have that so you can get more power, because usually when you do a back stance you're going to kick with your front leg, so you can rest the weight on your back legs where most of the weight is. He doesn't do that, he rests quite a lot of his weight on the front leg, like there.
Okay.
Quite a lot on the front leg. The main weakness though is the flexibility of his kicks. When he does do them, they're not snappy, and by not doing that, he's not got enough power behind them. So he's not being able to execute them properly at the correct height or etc. For the action plan for this, I'd start at about 6-week program for him. He should be doing about 30-minute sessions at about 3 times a week. Coaching points for him. When he's doing it, if he's doing a kick for his back leg, he should have most of the weight on the front leg, about 70%, like I said. This is so for his balance and also for his power, which he can generate then. When he does kick, his front leg needs to remain still, but the foot itself has to twist 90 degrees with the kick. This is to create the power behind it as well. When he does kick itself, he needs to flick it before returning, so that keeps the power and also the balance. His arms need to be kept in at his chest, so there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, if you're sparring for etc., it's also you can punch whilst doing it. It's also for protection purposes, so in case somebody punches you, you've got your arms there to stop you. By twisting your legs when you're kicking, you're able to generate more power and also helps you balance. The progressive practices on how you do it. First of all, you do it with both legs, so you're able to work both of them and get an equal balance of performance in each of it. When he starts, he should be doing his twist kicks at a target at about chest height, with like the teacher or something holding a target, like a glove, etc., for him to kick at. As soon as he's mastered this at this height, he should start kicking a bit higher towards the shoulder or head height, while still the teacher holding the target. Once he's mastered that, the teacher should be able to then remove himself so that the student can just kick head height with no target at all. While the teacher being there, he's able to give him the correct coaching points on his stands and his performance of his kicks himself. He should spend about 5 minutes per leg. Order for that is so he's getting enough practice per kick on there, but he's also not wearing himself out and losing power or muscle strength doing it. But before he starts that, he needs to do stretches. The main stretches would be for his legs. For this, he needs to stretch the main muscles on your legs, for example, the hamstrings, the gastrocnemius and the quadriceps. You should do each stretch for about 10 to 20 seconds per leg before moving on. But also, because a lot of the core muscles are being worked when you're doing it, they're also important as they generate power. For this, you do a circuit for his core muscles. Examples of this could be the plank, the back extension, and doing sit-ups, both regular ones and twisted. You should do crunches as well, lunges and perhaps press-ups. Towards the first stage of the course, you should do each circuit about 2 times, like going around each time in a lap. As he starts progressing and he's building up his muscular strength, etc., for progressive overload, he should perhaps try to work on to doing the course 3 times before starting. This should be done at about week 4 out of 6, roughly. Other ways in which he could improve his circuit by progressive overload, he could have, instead of having 1 minute work, 1 minute rest, he could lower this to 1 minute work, 30-second rest, or doing 2 circuits then having a rest instead. He could perhaps also work at a higher intensity of performance. There's loads and loads of health benefits which karate brings. For example, for your physical ones, you've got less chance of being obese, you get improved cardiovascular system because you're constantly working at a high pace, and you get a better physique by doing lots of stretches, lots of kicks, etc. You get a load of social benefits. For example, you make new friends there by starting. Also, by going to different championships and performances, you get to meet new participants, and because you see them on a regular basis, you make new friends with them. You can also develop existing relationships. For example, and sometimes use teamwork, like team katas, team performance. You can get to know your performer really well, so like you know its strengths and weaknesses and what you can develop on. Also, good teamwork, like I just said. You can get paired performances to something called Dupont committee, which is set routine fighting. We can also do team fighting and team katas as well. This guy's doing it on his own, but individually you can get 2 other people doing it, and so you'd be in sync with each other. There's lots of mental benefits as well. For start, you relieve stress by doing karate. It's very good for that. Also, you teach yourself self-discipline by doing it. Yeah. And also respect, not only for yourself when you're doing it, but for other participants, so like avoid deviance or gamesmanship. But also for the sport itself, like he showed when he bowed, that's to show respect to karate in general, but also to the masters who'll be grading him. The opportunity for participation. Unfortunately, karate is not that big of a sport, so there's only a few local clubs you can join. For example, mine's in Reddish, but I know there's also a couple ones near Kingsway High School and down the road on the A6. You can start at a very young age. You usually start about the age of 6 or 7 is the minimum, and you can go all the way up until whatever age you want, really. The ways in which they encourage participation is that they have the grading systems of belts. First of all, you start off with your 9th kyu, which is a white belt. You go all the way up to the 1st kyu, which is your brown belt with 2 tabs. That's 1 below your black. These are the ones that are almost there for encouragement and confidence for the small children. Also, when you get into them, after you've completed all them, you go on to your Dan stages, which is your black belt. Theoretically, your Dans go from 1st to 10th, but to get past your 5th, you have to go into the International Karate Board and be like a senior member of them, so it's very unlikely you get to there. The highest person you can get them without becoming a senior member is about 5th Dan, and to get there it takes quite a while. For example, to get from your 1st Dan to your 2nd Dan, it takes 2 years, then from your 2nd to your 3rd it takes 4, and 3rd to 4th 8, 16, so it's a lot of things, so opportunities for performance though. You get a lot of training days. Mainly these happen in London because the head of the British Karate Federation, the UKTKF, he lives in London, so he's got a lot of championships and etc. to go to. But they also do a couple of ones where they fly the Japanese masters in twice a year, and they'll come in and do courses. Usually do mixed performances, so you get all levels, for example small kids right up to teachers themselves learning new things. But they also do individual courses for black belts, 2nd Dan onwards, so it's high level of performance. Like this here, this is at a championship. The championships start at regional levels, so for example I'd enter the Northwest Regional Championship. From there you can enter all different types of things, for example kata, team kata, Jupon committee, fighting, etc. If you're successful here, then you'll get progressed onto the national championships, where you'll get almost scouted for them. These happen once a year. They've got all different levels for them. You've got the junior levels, which is ages 7 to 14, the cadet levels, which are age 15 to 17, and then the adult levels from 18 plus. These usually happen in Birmingham once a year, where all the people will come together from the best in the country. It's usually about the top 10% from the regional trials come together in order to compete. If you're successful at these events, the national levels, then the UKTKF will select you for the Great Britain team. By doing this, you get to train monthly with other people in your area who are also on the team, and then yearly squad events, which would happen in London. These are taught by the leaders of the English Karate Federation. They go on numerous tours, for example the European Championships, which are every 2 years for karate, and then from these also they do the World Championships, which are every 2 years as well. Unfortunately, karate is not very funded, so the mass majority of these people can't afford to go abroad to all these things. It's something that the Karate Federation are trying to do. They try to ask for funding off the government so that they can get the participants paid to go abroad.